great to be here when there's so much of buzz and activity that we're seeing. Very quickly, I'm with a fund called Unitus, UNITUS. We're an early stage investor, and education is a key area of focus. And I won't spend too much time talking about what we do. I'll bring that in at some point. What I thought we would do, I know we have around 40 or 45 minutes. I'd like to keep it as interactive, like I think we've done in the past sessions as well. So maybe what I'll do is quickly introduce the folks that we have here. I think very interesting entrepreneurs that have done a bunch of stuff in diverse segments within education. I have a few questions that I'll tee things up with, and then really open it up and have as much of interaction, as many questions from the audience, if that's okay with all. And hi, good to have you with us. Thanks. Quick introductions. Chitra is the founder and CEO at Easy Vidya. She's a management graduate, combines her skills in conceptualization, storyboarding, and instructional design to deliver products and services which are dynamic and on par with any international curriculum. Easy Vidya essentially is India's premier education research and innovation organization focused on delivering holistic education in Indian schools. Rajesh is CEO at FACE, which is the Focus Academy for Career Enhancement. He's probably a familiar face considering that he's from Coimbatore. Rajesh is an expert in marketing and operations, completed his MBA from IIM Kozhikode, and also holds a degree in electrical and electronics from PSD College. Before founding FACE, he worked with financial firms like Citibank, ICICI, and Wealth Advisors India. Hemant Sahal, good morning. Hemant wears many hats. He's the founder and chief artist at Butterfly Innovations. He calls himself a problem solver and a big dreamer. He's also the director of Adianta School for Leadership and Innovation, and also is the founding president at Kairos Society India. He was awarded the CRISIL Young Thought Leader Award in 2010 and Ashoka's Youth Venturer in 2009. And lastly, Pawan. Pawan founded Lab in App, and he'll, I'm sure, talk about what they do in just a bit, along with 3 of his batchmates, with really the objective of how do you make learning more fun. Lab in App's mission is really to empower teachers and learners through simulation, and Pawan is a self-confessed science geek. So what I thought we would do was, like I said, I have a few questions lined up. I'd like to start off with actually asking everyone to spend maybe 30 seconds to a minute and tell us something about yourself that you think no one really in this room has heard or knows about. Maybe I'll start with you.
Okay. The ladies first.
Yeah.
One perk that I get wherever I go. Yeah, so probably, I mean, this is a tough question actually. But I thought I'll relate it to what could be important here. I started my entrepreneurial journey when I was like 12. But it bombed, and I didn't pursue it as an entrepreneurial journey, but it had a lot to do with education, because I conceptualized way back then on something called a roaming library. So I used to buy books from Moor Market in Chennai and then take it to places around. So that I think is interesting, because after that I did various things, but then came back to something close to my heart. So the idea is probably you should tap on your childhood pranks and whatever you've done to see where your actual passion is. So that perhaps, yes.
I certainly didn't know that. So.
Yeah, firstly, thanks for the opportunity, guys. Good to meet you all here. I'm not such a famous guy to probably talk about one thing that people don't know. I don't think most of people don't know anything about me, for that matter. For those of us who have already interacted through my 8-year journey as an entrepreneur in the education space, my entrepreneurship journey, or rather my instinct around wanting to do something on my own, started class 12. There was almost a 4.5 month break between CBSE board exams and engineering admission counseling and closure in Tamil Nadu, and that's where we are. So I started off working with greeting card shops. Why did I do that? At that point it was more for time pass, but in due course I realized the excitement, the money that I earned really gave me the kick. And when I circle back to those instincts why I started my enterprise itself, Me and my partner, two of us started this company that we run. Both of us were doing phenomenally well on our day jobs. We just did a quick back of the envelope calculation to see as to how much money would we possibly make in 10 years. If you were to fast track and become the CEO of India Citibank at that point, that was the fastest somebody has become CEO of India. I said, if I can possibly make half of it in 2 years, then I'd probably have a reasonable cost to pursue my entrepreneurship journey. And that was actually, honestly, the starting point for my entrepreneurship journey itself. Education, training, skill development, honestly, very, very coincidental. Had somebody told me, say, you could sell soda with your own business enterprise with that kind of a money, probably I would have taken that bait and probably ran with it as well.
I argue that greeting cards is probably on the wrong side of history now, right?
Yeah. Today, yes. Thanks.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Honor to be here. Thanks for Thai Combitor and Forge. So back to the question that Shri asked, what's the thing that people don't know about me? So I should say that Labinap is actually not the first company that we had started, but there was something we started right back in 2012 to infuse cash into Labinap, because we had figured out that Labinap we can make it really big, but we wanted some money to at least start with. We needed that to sustain ourselves, because we were just graduates out of the college with absolutely no money in the hand. So we had to do a lot of services to sustain ourselves and put some money into the development of the product, which is there right now. So yeah, we'll talk about the product and the problem that we are trying to solve. So that was something which people didn't know about.
Hi. I think more than about me, I'd like to share experience, which is when we were just started building Coalpole. And probably because maybe I've worked a lot in my initial years with designers, and I see Sonia here, I have got a lot of guidance from her, Aditya. I didn't want to build the product, and I'm not a techie. I learned technology much later. So what I did, I was pretty good at PowerPoint, because I was consulting, and PowerPoint saves your life all the time. So I said, let me make a mock-up of the product. So I quickly put some boxes, colors and everything, and it looked like a product. I did a print screen of browser, put that into that, and I made a series of animations. And when I started going to institutions and pitching them the idea, full screen, nobody gets to know that whether it's a real product or not. And sometimes they will say, okay, what happens there? And I say, sir, that feature is not there yet. Yeah. And we got our first client like that initially. We got our first check from an investor with the same thing. And obviously, it took us a little while later to build the product and get back to them. But we spent a lot of time without users or the customers actually knowing that it's just a mock-up built on a presentation, and it is not an actual product. And I think it really helped us, and I think a lot of them even today don't know that it was a PowerPoint that we were showing them.
Is that a trick you recommend to most entrepreneurs in this room?
Well, you have to be good at presentation first of all. But I think it's I'm just adding to what Madan said, right? Why do you want to spend a lot of time building the whole product first? Just make a mock-up of it. If you can give that experience to the users, I don't think asking them really helps. You have to make them experience what you're going to provide to them to get the real feedback, and that it helped us a lot.
So I think most people have addressed sort of what was my next question as well, which was really going to be, how did each of you really start up, and more importantly, why did you start up? I think going back really to the conversations that Madan was having around, what's the problem that you really identified. But if there's anything that you'd like to throw some light on, really on sort of why did you start up in terms of whatever is it that each of you are doing, I think that will be interesting for the audience, and maybe we can start.
See, I'm sure all of you guys entrepreneurs who are trying to go out there and find out a solution. I think Madan hit it right on the head, the nail itself. Most of us try to start something which is a little enormous to us. Again, talking from personal experience. What we realized is as an engineering graduate, when I was graduating, there were like a lot of my classmates who were like say struggling to like say talk decently in interviews and couldn't get through selection test processes. That is effectively like say what led us. Because we were so close to the problem itself in that sense, and fortunately some of us were like say better educated school-wise, could like say speak decent English, could get through those selection process much easily, but at least in this part of the country that I hail from, not everybody is blessed with that kind of an education background itself in schools. So that was a starting point where we said that, okay, there are a lot of students who are like say not getting through campus jobs, which was like the dream of sorts to any engineering graduate to that end. And why were they not getting through? Because like say there was this interview process where they had to like speak in English, there were this aptitude test that they had to clear. Companies like Madan's, which put them together, had to be like say cracked, aptitude in that sense. And unfortunately, fortunately, the engineering education or the school education, which was like say preparing all of them for like that eventual corporate journey, did not help them like figure out how to crack it. That was like such a large, well-defined problem, right, waiting for to be solved for us. And because I was like say pretty much a part of the placement committee and all of those things, it was very easy for me to like say latch on to that immediately after graduation and so on and so forth. So for us, it was a case of like say, it was a definitely defined large enough problem. Was it an urgent problem? Absolutely urgent problem. Kids graduating, if they don't get jobs on campus, that's like really bad, right? They spend like so many lakhs of their parents' hard-earned money. They don't get out of colleges with like say with decent packages or decent salaries. It was like pretty difficult. What we did not anticipate was at that point, and which we figured how to like say figure out in due course, was that to make even in the startup colleges to realize that they have to like say kind of get urgent about solving that is what I think we eventually did and succeeded in like say scaling. That's what, otherwise it would have still been like say, if you look at it, only about 200 colleges in the country have real good placements. There are about 3,500 engineering colleges in the country. If I have to make it a substantial market for my business to proliferate, I need to like say kind of inculcate that urgency, showcasing, and some bit of whatever Madan shared is what we did. And yeah, that's what.
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of times we make stories looking backwards, and these are the stories we have to make because we are talking, we are in a... So I just have a few, I would say, dots that I can say probably would have, influenced what we are doing today. My first venture was in the water space. It was a social enterprise, and my big problem that time was most of my friends were chasing a GRE, GMAT or CAT dream, and it was very tough to bring them into an enterprise and make them actually, join you and start working there. So I think that one thing was something that I always felt a pain in the college days. It started with that I started doing a bit more work in it. I graduated, got a chance to start working with the Manipal Global. Then I had a chance to work with Aditya to set up a leadership innovation school. I had a chance to work with Sonia on setting up a student entrepreneurship week. So being in this space for a while, exposed me to so many things, and probably with all those experiences this came up. I don't think I have an exact story to say this exactly happened, but I think all of that put together, we started building it, it evolved, and it's in the stage it is today.
So when we were in school, whenever teacher used to bring something to class to teach science, for example, a motor, a dynamo, we were really curious to know about that, and probably even you were like that. You wanted to know about something because teacher is showing you something over there live. It's just not, he's playing some video or just giving a lecture. So this was not true for all the topics in the science. So probably he could bring a motor because that's available in the lab, in the school lab. But the fact is, science is a subject wherein we can demonstrate each and every concept through by an activity. So that's the power of a science, and that's how the formulas, the concepts have been discovered by the scientists. So this was the problem that we actually recognized when we were in engineering college and we were studying this beautiful technology called computer graphics, and we suddenly just recollected that why can't we solve this problem of lab equipments and doing and performing experiment itself with this technology called computer graphics. And that's when the product, something like laboratory inside application, which is just the short form of lab in app, came to our mind that why can't we give the power of demonstration, live demonstration, and the power of performing experiments to teacher inside the classroom itself, or for student, he can do it in his home itself. So that's how the concept of 3D virtual lab, which is immersive and interactive, which just looks like a game, and you feel as if you're doing the experiment there itself. So that's how we solve the lack of labs with Lab in App.
Yeah, I think all of us have a personal story, and I too have one. So it was essentially about my kids, I thought, weren't learning well enough. Also, they weren't enjoying school, so the whole bug caught me there, and I thought I should focus on perhaps helping schools with how to teach and how children should learn. But once we got in there, we realized it's not just about how to teach, but it's about even what to teach. Because we spend a whole lot of time in history learning the dates. You know, it's a very cliched example, but I think all of us can relate to it. But then what essentially should be the core and the big idea of a subject like history itself, or what should be the big idea of math itself? And when we started this organization, we're still trying to crack it. I would say there's a slight reversal from what Madan was saying. Actually, we thought we had caught the urgent problem first, and then came the big problem. Because the urgent problem was, yeah, we'll train your teachers on how to teach better, or we have a solution on how to teach better. But then the real problem was actually in what to teach itself. So that is now gone to a very high level of, revisiting the goals of education itself. So that kind of gives us the kicks and keeps us going. So making us feel like a startup organization even after so many years. And I love that feel of being a startup when I wake up every morning. And I like the emerging entrepreneur. Sometimes you're branded like an emerged entrepreneur, but I think we are all still emerging, waking up as a startup person, especially in education. I think that's going to be the message many of you should be taking, because every day is a new day.
I'll actually build on that, and most of the comments so far have been around what is it you've done so far. Would really like to hear from each of you as to what are the one or two things that you're betting on is likely to happen, or in the next, say, 2 to 5 years, which you think is significantly going to impact or change the way in which you're doing business as usual right now. And any order, whoever's got the mic, go for it.
So we are primarily focused on the higher ed and the after college learning space. That's the two enterprises that I run predominantly. We are heavily betting on, like, say, content assimilation and consumption happening on, like, say, handheld devices to be the next big thing. I mean, it's a very rhetoric, cliched thing. We've been talking about it for, like, I don't know, ever since I started this company, people have been talking about e-learning going the big way and all of those things. But we actually are seeing that whole difference. The second enterprise that I started, Chalk Street, it's about, we have rechristened that company some 3 times already. So we started as an NPD and Chalk Studio, and now it's Chalk Street, just changing the flavor as we go along. Chalk Street was constituted last June, and when we started, the kind of traffic that we saw, to the last 3 months, forget last 3 months, as of last month, month of June, we had like 35,000-40,000 active users monthly. And trust me, these are all organic. We are not funded. Whatever little word of mouth and through our existing offline connects is what we are getting. This month, as of this Monday, we had about 80,000 active users on the platform. It's really, we're really seeing that whole transition happening. Yeah, part of it could also be, like, say, the upcoming placement season and so on and so forth, event-based, contextual. But the point I'm trying to drive is, like, say, we are not the first guys who are in this space trying to, like, say, get people to learn on the mobile or the platform. We are probably the 1,000th company to do that, honestly. But if we are able to, and I'm connected with a fair amount of people in this space, and a whole host of them are agreeing with me when they are also able to start seeing the inflection around, like, say, adoption in terms of, like, say, online learning and all of those things taking up a big way. last 2 weeks, I think, like say, Simply Learn has been featured. I'm sure it's a paid feature that they had in Economic Times first page, bottom right corner. If that is the kind of, I'm sure that's also, like say, doing a lot of good to the overall learning space itself. So, transition of the upward mobile. So, whatever social networking and everything that the mobile did to the Indian audience at large, it's also slowly, definitely, steadily catching up with on the education, the more serious stuff as well. In fact, 2 years back when we were having conversation with a couple of veterans in the space, yeah, kids today will take up the phone and probably use it only for, like say, chatting and Facebook. It was very hard for them to, like say, buy into the idea that, you know, kids can also, like say, use it for, like say, some serious stuff. In fact, to a large extent, most of the colleges have a ban on using mobile phones in college. I don't know how many of you know this, but yeah. But things are changing. Things are changing for good, and with augmented data connectivity and speed and and everything making life so much more easier on the cost, I think we're in for a very, very huge boom around it. Next to forget 3 to 5, another year or two is what we're anticipating that.
Yeah. If we look at the traditional ways of teaching and learning, if you just follow them, so first is chalk and talk is the one method which has been followed since years or decades. Then slowly came these smart class solutions in 2000, mid 2000. That's when the Educom boom happened, 2008, 2009. So through the smart class, it was all about animated videos, wherein teacher, it actually tries to complement the teacher over there. And if we see what would happen next is, with the addition of tablets, with the smart boards, I think the learning is going to be more personal. The learning is going to be, and learning and teaching is going to be more immersive, more interactive. So that's the thing that we think that this simulation is going to be the next wave in learning, and that's what we will be riding on.
We're running out of time at this point. Can we take 1 or 2 audience questions? Oh, we have 5 minutes. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll open it up. I see a question right there. I see a question here as well. Actually, there's 3 questions. So maybe if you can get the mic, maybe what we can do is if you can ask all the questions and then get the answers going, that just might be easier. I know the gentleman here and there and the lady right at the back.
Okay, this is a very general question. Okay, and some of us have been in corporates for decades, right? We all stayed in corporates because corporate experience was itself interesting and we had a lot of learning. So we are coming into this sector to figure out, like what you said about animated videos. I've been observing this for quite a long time. If you see what Chinese are doing what is relevant for them. They take technology from the Americans, whatever. They don't allow Google inside. They've not done that. See, when the Chennai floods came, the police guy on the street was telling me, sir, yesterday I've heard from NASA. So, but we have ISRO 40 kilometers away. So my question is, I'll cut the story short. I mean, do we have something where we can solve? Madan spoke about solutions. I can read out maybe offline, which is very hurting. That we seem to be disconnected. Number one, okay, I hope you got the point. The police guy tells me about NASA on November 30th, when the next day the floods came. So nobody had a clue as to what was happening. We didn't have ISRO map. Okay, that was one. Second thing, what about this great bottom of the pyramid discussions we've all had? It's been, Prahalad is dead, right? Now it's been 15 years now. So the take on that. Let's forget about the smart boards. These are all Chinese-made tablets purchased at 12,000. You have a valid license for 1 year. I don't see much of innovation in this. But what about the corporation schools, for example? I'm concerned about it because you spoke about emotion. I'm talking about inclusion. So, what do you recommend? If not the bottommost backward districts, but if you take a state like Tamil Nadu, for example, which is fairly urbanized, or Kerala. No, my question is, I gave you the context because it required. what would you recommend? Because there's a huge market. There's a huge market for the corporation schools.
Let Pawan respond.
So,
Actually, take the other two questions as well and then come back to response.
so yeah.
Adu, there was one more question right there. Yeah.
Good morning to everybody. I just want to talk to everybody. I think this is the right panel to ask this question. This is education as such. You cannot remove the service component of this industry. We are all talking products. We are talking all, new methods of teaching. What is it that the industry, do you think, going forward should do to enable the service component of it? Because I think most of it we are train the trainers and still there is no marketplace as such where we bring all of them together. So is there something that we have?
This is particularly to Rajesh. We need to know your secret in scaling up. It has been stealth mode quite a bit times. And to Chitra, how's been working with the government? Thanks a lot.
Yeah, this is a very short question for Easy Vidya. It will be easy for you to remember. I mean, the 4 questions, right? You said you ran into the problem of what to teach. So I'd like an example of the problem and the solution.
Yeah.
Right.
And particularly the solution that you've got really addresses that. There's a lot of work that you're doing in particular with rural schools and government schools. So maybe if you could address that, and then we'll go around.
Yeah. So when it comes to rural schools, you might be knowing that they don't have science lab at all. Forget about a good lab, they don't have science lab at all. So there we give them a product or a solution which is even more cheaper than having that entire lab. We are not saying that you have to replace this digital lab with your existing one, because they don't have anything at all. That's what we are trying to provide. This is a project that we are doing with Indian Institute of Science in Karnataka. They have funded this product, and we are reaching out to completely rural school, government schools which you mentioned. Plus another partnership that we have done, as Madan mentioned, it's with the Tata ClassEdge, and they have all categories of schools with them. Higher paying schools, mid schools and government schools as well. There also it goes as a science lab wherein students can do all the activities. If he doesn't has a lab, and it adds on to the existing lab if existing lab is not equipped with the proper facilities. So that's how we are impacting the masses.
Just to add one response to your point on corporation schools and why you may not necessarily see as much of the startups actually getting involved there. The challenge is there's a particular life cycle time in a startup's evolution when they can actually start working with the government. It doesn't make sense for a startup typically to start working with the government early on, because there's a very high level of unpredictability. And if you want to keep the lights on and be able to pay bills, you can't be relying on the government, and that starts to become a challenge, particularly in education. And this is what we've seen with our own companies as well, that it's a high level of unpredictability and unreliable. There's the ability, you don't know whether you'll get paid for the services that you're providing and things like that. So that also causes a challenge, and I can talk more to that. Perhaps Chitra can as well, but just want to leave you with that. Go ahead. There was a couple of one question specifically on scale, I think.
Yeah, so firstly, we're not in stealth mode in that sense. So just coincidentally happened to be very interesting thing which came to my mind is like, say, I think they picked up my profile from the LinkedIn about myself sort of a thing. I just realized, like, say, I've not updated in about 8-9 months. Just some numbers are like a little dated there. So we're not stealth mode primarily, not because, like, say, we want to keep it that way. We just didn't bother, or rather didn't pay attention to, like, say, letting the world know as to what we do and all of those things. Now, that's one of those reflections that we're actually having internally as to, despite whatever scale that we've achieved, hardly people know about us except our segment of customers. Now, in terms of how do you build scale, there's no easy way around it. You have to do the grind. You have to, like, say, go day in, day out, meet people, meet clients. Just keep meeting. That's all. There's no secret sauce around it. There's no merchandise 7x there. It's out and out, brute force, keep meeting people. In the last few years, I would have met so many fellow entrepreneurs. Talking about collaboration, I wanted to share that when we were having that as well. Probably this is an opportune moment. Most of the people probably, like, say, who come to us want to, like, say, ride on the kind of network of institutions or clients that we have already built. Right? What they don't understand is that is the key itself. Honestly, what I'm doing is not rocket science, boss. I'm just teaching kids how to solve aptitude tests better, or rather solve aptitude tests, forget better. Better is like in due course. In hindsight, what we got to. Truth told, we just told them what to do. And we just kept telling every possible college. So, we're probably not appreciating the kind of opportunity that we have in our country. There are 3,500 engineering colleges. I've not come across even a single, even large corporates, you talk the HPs of the world, HCLs of the world have, like, say, education focused, higher ed focused products. I have not met any CEO or head of sales who can probably talk about 100 college names outside of the top ranked and illustrious institutions. So if you're an entrepreneur and if you want to build scale, all you do is keep doing the same thing all over again. You just need to be, like, say, keep going at it like a bull. I mean, today I have a sales team. Their KRA is to, like, say, do at least 5 meetings a day, 5 unique meetings a day. And that's DNA that we have instilled from day one. If my guy is not meeting 25 institutions in a week, then there is a loss of pay. I might be sounding draconian here, but that's how coarse and rough we are, and scale comes with that only.
We started with you and we'll
Yeah, sure.
as well.
So I'll take her question. So I think you're right. I mean, product and service cannot be, extricated from one another, especially in education. I'll also ride on what Madan was talking about in terms of, in this space especially, we have the consumer, customer, beneficiary, user, this kind of a cycle, which ask me about it. I'll tell you what the pangs we go through is. But what we mean by productization and service in this, I'd like to just, so that we all have a common definition, productization is key for scale. I think we would agree with that. So slowly weaning away the human element for, as I call it, the left brain activities, which can be done in a more systemic manner, and then make the service, and that's my definition, where it involves the human touch still. And I think technology is helping us crack to see that this right side brain is slowly becoming a part of the left side offerings as well. So in this, I think we'll always have to identify what is that value add that the service component should and has to give, and then keep that. But for scale, that should be, I would say, a percentage of the product offering itself. If you take our example, we have today gotten into several product complementing the main flagship product, which would be tools that somebody who visits the school holds from our side, which is actually a service, but then it standardizes it. There should be a value add by that person, but that service component is going to be important. So, I mean, if I got your question right, is service talked about, at least in product like ours, in program like ours, it's talked about. Perhaps in Pawan's case, it would be a little more product, because it's in the hands of the beneficiary itself, if I'm right. So, in this larger domain, I think service still plays a big part, but the key for scale, for profitability, for growth, I think the formula that we are going to apply to the service, not taking away the human element in it, because education, according to me, is all about human elements. That's going to be the key. I mean, that would be my pitch. I think, yeah, your question, very interesting. I would need just about 2 hours actually to get on stage and talk about it. It's my favorite thing. So what we are trying to, in our own journey, what we saw when we were sitting in classes is the teacher expends a lot of energy. I think we need to give it to her because we are all here on stage and talking about poor quality teaching, poor quality teachers. But we know, at least in my organization, there are 50 people out in 50 classrooms each in a week. And the kind of insights we get is, I think the basic thing is every teacher expends energy, but where does she expend the energy? In all the wrong things. It's because the policy and the higher aspects of education is still not helped the single school in the ecosystem crack it. In terms of what should I be investing my energy on? So if you're talking about assessment, then it's about teaching to test, right? You're teaching essentially to test so that they can crack that exam. Probably in Rajesh's domain that's important, but not in the formative years that we are talking about. So revisiting what should be learned, what should be taught in school, and I'm glad the policy makers are also turning their attention to it, is the key to what we should be going forward into.
Great. I think Vishwanath heard the 2 hours part and got a little scared and said, hey, you know what, don't give her that much time. All right,
No,
it's been a
sorry,
good,
I wouldn't
no,
do that.
I was just kidding. No, just kidding. It's been a great discussion. I know all of us are going to be around, so you can easily reach out to us and keep the conversation going. Thanks so much for putting all of this together, and thanks to Vish and Tai as well.